Today is April 29th, Wednesday of the third week of Easter. My name is Father John Kearns, the pastor of Our Lady of the Lake Catholic Church, and I'm standing in an empty church. Saul of Tarsus would have been pleased with this sight because he was opposed to the Christian movement when we hear about him in the reading for today's Mass. It's right after the stoning, the execution, the martyrdom of St. Stephen, of which Saul of Tarsus approved completely. And then Saul went about going into people's homes, the homes of Christians, dragging men and women out into the streets and having them arrested. It was a violent persecution. Of course, we know God has another plan for Saul, but with this violent persecution, what happens is the early church and its leadership scatters. They leave Jerusalem and they go to other regions and other countries. And we know Paul is going to end up becoming an agent of the Lord, serving Jesus as an apostle after he encounters the risen Lord. But at this time, he's leading this persecution and causing this scattering. But what do the apostles do when they have to leave? Do they stop doing what they're doing? No, they keep doing what they're doing, preaching the hope of the gospel, but in a new place, new ears, new hearts, new conversions. And the church grows and spreads far and wide. We'll hear of Philip going great distances, and as we hear his story in the next few days. And of course, we know of the tradition of St. Thomas the Apostle, who goes as far south as India to the state of Kerala, where they refer to themselves as Thomas Christians, dating the initial evangelization back to the time of the apostles. So what looks like a catastrophe for the church, this direct persecution, violent as it was, it becomes an opportunity for the spread of the gospel. That's how God works. Something that looks catastrophic, because it is, becomes an opportunity. We see that in the life of Saul of Tarsus, who at one time looked like the fiercest enemy, becomes the fiercest proponent of the faith when, after he encounters the risen Lord on the road to Damascus. And we saw this, of course, in the fundamental elements of the Christian story. What looked like a disaster, the death of Jesus on the cross, the death of the Messiah, the death of the Son of God, by his resurrection, became a conquering of death so great that nothing will stop the work of the church. So we look at our own situation now. This coronavirus is a catastrophe. It is wreaking havoc all over the world. It has brought the economy to its knees. You cannot overstate the problem that this is. But God is going to work miracles through this. And yes, it's a catastrophe, but God knows how to bring good out of the worst situations, because that's what God does. And as we face this and find our way through it and trying to find a way to alleviate the suffering, help those who are in need, pray for those who are on the front lines of this and on so many levels, we also will keep doing what we're called to do, proclaim the gospel and the hope of Jesus Christ. That's what we're here for. That's the mission of the church. And we stay on our mission with eyes of hope, always looking forward. Yeah, it's difficult. The cross is always a challenge. We never want to underestimate that, but even more so, we shall never underestimate the grace of God and his ability to bring good out of evil. God bless you.